Alright, so finally back to the center console. This will be the final assembly of it. If you haven't seen the first video of us building it and getting it this far, I'll leave a link in the description to check it out to give you a little rundown on how we got to where we're at. But anyway, now's going to be the fun part of getting it all wrapped. Now that the design's done, now we can go ahead and get some material on it, get some color on it. Well, lack thereof. So, but first, I've got everything labeled. I'm gonna have to go through, relabel everything, so after it gets wrapped, I know where everything goes and the direction of everything, because these angles are different on top and bottom. Same thing here, you can see mark 30 degrees and things like that. Other things you can see is these aren't mounted yet. I know in the previous video I said I was going to use magnets, and I'm still not opposed one way or the other on what I'm going to use, but my thinking and plan is everything on the inside here, all these, well, I can't get it out right now, but anyway, everything under here, these braces have to be unbolted and taken out. So my plan is to use these stainless angle brackets and bolt in the back side here and here, top and bottom. Same thing under here. You can see these ladder braces I've got underneath here, and the same thing with the console, actual storage area. These are braces and, you know, the console body. So all that's going to be mounted with those angle brackets, and then I can take these bolts out. Once we take these bolts out, what I'm thinking is to mount these, because I can pick it up. My fear was it was going to be too heavy to get in the truck. So I think I'll probably put the clip in the beginning of us test fitting it in the truck after it's all painted and the carpet in it. That's why it didn't get wrapped originally, because I wanted to put the carpet in the truck to make sure I didn't need to trim any height off of anything or do anything weird that it doesn't quite fit anymore. So everything fits really well, so I'm not super concerned about that. So now I can go ahead and get this thing finished up. So like I said, now that I know I can put it in there with all the body panels on it, what my thinking is use these same angle brackets and go ahead and assemble it here. And then when I take it over there to put it in, then it's not going to be having to assemble it. And my fear is the magnets aren't going to be strong enough to hold this together from rattling. Whether you're, you know, you open the lid, you know, you open the top and accidentally bump this, well then this keeps, you know, wanting to slide down. I mean, the thought was to mount magnets here and here, same thing on the other side, and just to keep it all, you know, just placed there. That way you can take it out and put it in. And it was really for install. Really, there's no actual maintenance you have to do on this other than this backside here to get in to do the radio and wire all that up is really going to be my only thing. What I could do is I could leave this removable. Well, no, because that lands on top of it. So like I said, see, that's the thing. You know, I've got to decide if that's the route I go. So I'm still kind of up in the air on that, but that's not the end of the world. I can kind of figure that out as I go. Really, the main thing is getting the radio in and getting it mounted and getting my buttons mounted that I don't think I brought in. So anyway, there's just a lot of little stuff like that. So I'm gonna kind of quit rambling, kind of get started. The other thing I've got to do, which kind of sucks because I forgot to do it, I just didn't want to assemble it. You know, I want to put this together and take it apart the least amount of times I can. But after I get everything kind of mocked up and ready, I got to take these back outside, and I got to router the insides and outsides of them to here, and then put this 1/2 inch radius on the edges of this part of the console here. Actually, it'll be all the way down to the front. It'll be inside and outside on all of it except for once I get here. I have to stop on both sides right here at these corners, but not too big of a deal. And then I got to get some wood putty to fill in all my extra holes on the outside, because when I wrap it, I'm going to blow this whole console apart, wrap it, and then reassemble it. And I guess if I didn't, I may not have said that in the beginning. But that's the plan on tearing it apart and reassembling it. And that's why I'm using the angle brackets. That's why I need it all mounted first. Then I can take it apart. Then I can put it back together because you obviously can't put the screws in back on the outside. So anyway, that's kind of the plan. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get started on putting the little angle brackets in and making a couple little changes to it. But that's the plan so far. So stick with me and we'll try to get everything done. So I've got all the brackets drilled, and I didn't mount all of them. I've only drilled the outside ones. That way the inside ones, I don't know, it's just being weird. I want to make sure the inside ones really bite in because that's that's all the structure I'm going to have, because I'm going to take these outside bolts out. And then it's just going to be those inside L brackets. So I think it should be pretty strong because it's going to be mounted on all the bracing all the way down. So I've got all that marked. I've got everything labeled and numbered. I've got, this is where the buttons are going to go for the interior lights and everything. So I've got those that I'll take this out and drill. I'll just take a paddle bit. These are Billet automotive buttons. It's out of Australia. These are the 22 millimeter buttons. And so if you do buy these, it takes a 7/8 paddle bit or drill bit, whatever you want to use. And then that's what you can make your holes with. The thing is, you got to keep in mind your thickness of this here. You know, this obviously won't fit, you know, because I've used up all my threads. So my plan is, I've got a trim piece of 1/8 inch wood that I'm going to cut out for this and the radio and put it up there. And then that's how those buttons will be mounted. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got everything, I think, the way I want it and everything marked. That way I can blow this thing apart and go ahead and get these edges routed. And then that should be the last cutting I have to do other than that panel and drilling those holes. And I can start to wrap. So I guess that's the plan. I'm gonna go ahead and blow this thing apart. I think everything should fit well, so I don't think I've got any issues there. And I think that's it. So yeah, I'm gonna get it blown apart and we'll go from there. All right, got the console blown apart now. I went through and I'll be honest, this is the first time ever wrapping a second time wrapping a console. The first time was, it was in the big truck and it was fairly simple to do. This is the most elaborate one I've done, so you'll see me changing my ideas as I go, as I'm kind of making it up as I go, because I have an idea on what I'm doing, but I don't know for a fact professionally what I'm doing. So anyway, long story short, I went through and kind of marked my inside panels that are going to get wrapped, because I know the material is going to be, I don't know, probably a 32nd thick-ish. So I went through and took about a 1/16 off. That way they'd have some wiggle room once I got them wrapped, and they would fit and not be super tight. So I went through and did that. Then I blew it apart, and now I've got this one up here to route. And it's going to be the same routed edge as this here. It's going to be a 1/2 inch radius, and this is the radius here. I've got it set already from when I done it last time. And I'll kind of show on here what my plan is. So this one, oops, sorry, my finger's kind of banged up. So I'm going to route this side on the front and around and then back and down, and then it's going to be inside and outside of the top, the face where the radio is, the console, or where the cup holders go, and then it's only going to be on the inside on this panel here. So that kind of makes sense. So it's going to be inside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, just the inside. And then I'm just going to kind of blend it right there in that corner to make everything kind of blend and flow together. Everything's real smooth and transitions real nice. So my thing is, I just got to get really sharp corners. So anyway, I'm gonna quit talking and start getting this thing trimmed out. Well, I think that turned out pretty good. I think that'll work. I like that little transition there, and that should look good with the trim panels. So now I got left just inside, and I'll be done. All right, it is now time for the part that I'm dreading. I'll just be honest, I'm dreading it, stressed out. I don't really know exactly. I mean, I have an idea on what I'm doing, but this is for all the marbles. So this is actually getting wrapped in 2 different materials. Kind of the center part of the console is going to be in suede, and then the side panels are going to be leather. Then the top trim ring of the console is going to be leather. The cup holder ring is going to be leather, and then the trim sides are going to be suede. So I'm going to start with the easy one, which is the one that sits here where the console lid goes. It's just a easy rectangle with some kind of, I mean, these are just to set the piece down. So I'm going to start with it. So it's going to be suede. And this is really the first time I'm actually looking at the material. It looks like suede. All right, so I'm going to use 3M high strength high strength 90 contact adhesive. I kicked around doing like the brush on or paint on, and I think this will do what I need it to do well. So I vacuumed off this piece of plywood. This is where I'm going to do all my work. And so I guess I got to get a game plan on what I'm going to do. I know roughly how much I need, so I'm thinking I may just go ahead and kind of cut me out a little section here, enough to wrap up everything. That way I have a lot less to work with. I don't get everything dirty, and we'll do it like that. So I guess I'm gonna get some scissors, kind of need, that way I don't have to hassle with it. I'll get to gluing. So I guess that's what I'll do. Oh, this is the first cut. All right. That look like it should be plenty. Unfortunately, if anybody, more professionals watching this, you can't give me tips right now. But if you want to leave a comment and tell me how you would have done it, or any tips, that would be greatly appreciated, because I have to do this multiple more times for the multiple more vehicles I have to finish. So any tips, any hints would be greatly appreciated. This has already been vacuumed, so hopefully it doesn't get my things too dirty. Alright, so per the instructions, I gotta shake the can up, spray it on this, spray it on that, let it get tacky, and then marry it together. And since I don't have a lot of room, and I'm doing it in the house because it's ridiculously cold outside, and it snowed. So, well, it snowed a couple days ago, but it's still insanely cold outside, so I don't want to do any of this outside. I'm gonna work off the back side of this material because I don't want to get it on here, because I gotta lay my material down to cut it, I guess. And then I gotta glue it. So I'm gonna give it a shot. This may be a stupid idea, but it's not gonna ruin the material. It's just gonna make it harder to work with or work off of later. But I'll cross that bridge when I get there. So I guess I'm gonna kind of scoot everything in the middle and see how this stuff sprays. So supposedly you're able to twist. I don't know. I'm not gonna mess with it. So anyway. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a mess. Crap. Maybe I should just walk it outside, spray it, and bring it back in. This is gonna suck. This is gonna be everywhere. Think fast, think fast, think fast, think fast. Because if I spray it, I'm gonna get overspray on everything. Meaning this. I don't think it gets hard. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a problem, but is it gonna mess with the next round? Ooh, what do I do? I could just take it outside and spray it on the concrete and bring it back inside. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. Let's do that. It's dark. What do I do? I mean, yeah, that's gonna be such a mess on everything. Do I have plastic? Do I have anything I could lay down on top of this? Do I have scraps? You know what I could have done though? I could have laid this on top of this, sprayed this, but no, if I spray that, it's still gonna be a mess. I'm trying not to make a mess that's gonna haunt me in the very near, I'm gonna finish this in 2 days future. Whatever. Oh, it moved. This is where that expert opinion is going to come in handy. That you're going to give way too late. I think it said 3 coats, 2 to 3 coats. Apply 1 to 3 even coats of adhesive. Alright, so I will be back here in 2 more coats. We got 2 pretty good coats on it, and it said if it's tacky, it won't transfer to your skin. It's not transferring to my skin. So I think I'm gonna flip this over, square it up on this. Got to make sure this is really flat. It's my only fear is getting a wrinkle in it. It doesn't matter which way it goes on necessarily. Okay, where's my edges? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. This is going exactly like I thought it would. Terrifying. Is this centered? Press firmly. That doesn't have any glue on it. Okay, note to self. Can I touch this up now? Can I just wait a couple minutes and then put the edges on? Should I have done it like this before? Someone needs to tell me these things. I don't know what I'm doing. Is this glue gonna be a problem for me here in just a little bit? Possibly. Okay, so there's glue on the edges. Is it sufficient glue? Is it too much? I don't know. I'm just rambling to make myself feel better. There's no one here. It's just me. It's me in my empty house, gluing up carpet and stressing out about it. Man, I hope this is flat. Oh, it's sticky. It's not dry. It's stuck to my hands. And the other thing is, everything I read was this is the really good stuff, but if I screw it up, I need a bulldozer to get it off. So, great. Okay, that seems like that's okay. So the most part that I'm concerned is like the top edge, because the top edge is going to be seen when you open the console lid. So I need it as good and as flat as I can get it. And then everything else needs to be good, but it doesn't have to be that's perfect, because the sides are going to obviously be covered by the console. And so none of that really matters. I just need the top really good, and the bottom doesn't matter either. I just need it tight. So I guess actually let me do this before I call it permanent. Let me assess the front. And honestly, I can live with that. So is this all still sticky? No, it's not gonna stick to itself. Boy, would I be upset if I stuck it to itself. Ooh, I don't think I have a razor blade in here. All right, I have scissors. So, okay, so there's that edge. So now, what do I do here? What do I do on the edges? Let's do the bottom first, because I can, like I said, I can screw the bottom up a little bit and still be okay. We'll make a small surgical incision there. I don't know if there was a time limit on this glue, and I'm really hoping there's not. Just pulling up and just pulling it back. Okay, so those two surfaces stick to each other pretty well, it seems. Okay, so let's stand it back up and see what we look like. Because like I said, all that's going to be covered up, so really all I have to worry about is this face. And this face looks good. Those edges look fine. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna have to do is just stick these edges together, something like this, all the way to each edge, and I'll just have to go through and cut the flaps off. So let me do the same thing over here. Just lay it down. Oop. Side looks a little shorter. I don't think it's going to come all the way up to the top. Oh yeah, it comes all the way up. So now all I should have to do, it's going to be the best way to do this. Let's cut small. We can always cut off more later. So we'll take baby cuts. Baby cuts. Okay, now if I had a razor blade, I could just sit up in here and trim that off. So, but I got it all stuck on there, so now I'm not too worried about that. And it turned out good. That is, wow. All right, so hopefully this is not beginner's luck and the first one turned out good, or I've made a crucial error and just haven't found it yet. But regardless, I like it right now, so this is something I can live with. So I think the plan is I'll go out to the shop, grab a razor blade, and get these edges trimmed up. Yeah, there's definitely a better way to do that. Ideally, I should have laid this on top of the other one and then trimmed straight up. Like what I should have done is I should have taken this flap here and laid it over like that. But my fear was it wasn't going to stick to that. And then if I've got a glue to that, I guess I could have super glued it on there. I don't know. Let me finish trimming this one up. Like I said, none of this actually matters, but I need to know for future me in case I've got to actually, I have edges that matter. All right, so that's one panel done. Oh, I didn't cut enough off there. So that's one panel done. I've got like what, 10 more to go? This is doable. I can get this done this weekend. Sweet. That turned out good. That turned out good. Wow. That's exactly what I thought it would look like, and I'm ecstatic. You gotta break the ice. We broke the ice. I gotta check on this to make sure this is gonna be. I don't think there's gonna be anything wrong with that. I like it. So that's it. See, it's not so bad. Everyone was panicking. Everyone was freaking out. I've got it. I got this. I don't know if I got the rest of it, but I got this one. All right. I have a razor blade now, and it looks like that stuff right there, you know, the overspray glue isn't going to be that big a deal as long as I let it dry. So I may just have to switch around this piece of plywood, which isn't going to be that big a deal. It looks like it may just build up some, but I'm not too concerned about it. I was just had a fear of it sticking to the new piece. So here's this piece. Got a fun one with some holes in it now. So we're making baby steps, you know. You gotta add a little bit to it. So do the same thing, shake it up, glue it, cut my holes out. These don't have to be pretty holes. It doesn't matter because my trim ring goes over the top of it. You don't see it anyway. So as long as I don't end up way out here, it's fine. So not a big deal. So second piece is on the road. Seems like that should be tacky enough. Is this? I think so. It's been about 2 minutes. I'm horrified I'm gonna glue one of these upside down. Oh, that's where it's gonna be. Alright. So now that's probably a dumb idea. This is stupid. But I want to look. Make sure there's no wrinkles. Do any of these edges matter? No. Alright, there's the front edge. Alright, there's the back side and top side. There's some pretty crisp lines in it. All that'll work. I know, like, I've made some console, you know, I say I hadn't wrapped stuff. That's technically a lie. I have made some subwoofer boxes back in high school and college. And so this is not entirely my first time. It's just been 5 years since I've had to make one or had to glue anything and make anything. Because I know, like, on the back of console boxes, you would flip them up and do the half moon and you pull that one panel off and then it would just be a smooth crisp and it's not a line down the middle and that little half moon kind of blends everything in. So like I said, it's not my first rodeo, but it's been a really long time and that just doesn't seem like it's got enough glue on it. Now it's got too much glue on it. So this is my first kind of detailed funky one. This is the bottom of the lid. So I kind of drew, if you can see it, this red is what's going to be seen. Everything inside this red is what's going to be seen. And then this outside is going to be covered by that little trim ring. So what I'm thinking is, because this needs to be really good. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to cut me a big sheet. I'm going to lay it out. I guess I'll go ahead and start laying it out. Just kind of talk it out as I'm doing it. Everything's been good so far. I like this material, so pretty pleased with it. So what I'm thinking is, it's another thing I gotta keep in mind, which direction is which. So I need to do it exactly like this. I don't want to cut. Make sure I got enough to pull. I want to make sure I got enough material to pull up and over these edges on both sides. And I'm gonna spray this bottom side first, and then stick it down and glue it, and then pull up my edges on both sides and in the back. And then I'm going to glue this side, glue this section, come over and flip it over on top of itself, then flip it back over, and then cut the extra material off of here and peel it back. This is what I'm thinking. So I think that'll work. So I just need to make sure I've got plenty of material. It's gonna be the biggest thing is making sure I got all the wrinkles out of it, but I don't think it'll be too big of an issue. Alright, and this will be the back, which is already going to be wrapped. So I'll leave a little bit extra, but I don't need a ton. Alright. Spray all of this side, spray all of this, spray the edges, flip it over on top of this, then flip it, press it, fold it, glue it, flip it, cut it, and that's it. This stuff seems to be doing pretty good. I'm definitely gonna need at least 2 cans. I'm hoping this does all my suede, and then the other one will do all the leather. I'll give a breakdown at the end to tell you how much exactly I used, but as of right now, it seems to do pretty good. I usually put about 2 coats on it, let it sit for like a minute, minute and a half, and seems to be all right. All right. Let that sit for about 2 minutes, and I'll flip it over. All right, let's see what I can do. Make sure all this is good and flat. Grab the back corners. Oh yes. Yep. Probably should have just glued that, not on this, but that's okay. Not a big deal. I should have plenty. Okay. Now I'll make sure. Yep, no wrinkles. All right. So we'll make sure that's good and stuck. Do I go ahead and glue it? Yeah, I guess I need to if I'm gonna roll up the edges. Unless I stop and just flip it over and cut it at the seam again. Which I could do that. There's no rule saying I can't. Alright, so this is the front. So that needs to be perfect. Looks like it is. This is the back, that doesn't matter. These are my edges. One thing about this material I will say is make sure your stuff is sanded and you don't have any. This material, I guess what I'm getting at, will not cover up imperfections. It is very thin. Now if you put some if you were to put some foam backing or something on it, it would probably cover it up. But if you're just going straight on it like I am, if you've got anything wrong with it, it's gonna show. So just to kind of keep in mind what you got going on. All right, so that looks like that will work, and I should just be able to trim this edge off, flap this on the top. I think we'll be good, so I guess that's what I'll do. All right, everything's good and tacked up. I got the edges trimmed off, so now all I should have to do is pick this up and stretch it down. Oh, that seems to be pretty good. Maybe I should have went with the other way. But no, well, it looks like that worked out. Top looks good. I gotta trim my edges up. I think that'll work. Well, I'd say that turned out pretty good. Edges are trimmed up pretty nice. That front turned out good. I will say, hindsight, if I was to do it again, I would probably do like I said the first time, roll the edges up on here and then just cut some lines in it and then pull the top strips off. But I think for what it's doing, it'll work. Because it'll just get attached like this right here. And that's it. So you can see front edge, the top, and all that seems to be pretty good, at least the way I see it. So I think that'll work. Actually, I've got it still on wrong, but I mean that's the idea. But I'm pretty happy with it. I like it, and the corners turned out pretty good too. Like I said, it's figuring it out a little bit. There's some stuff I would say if I was really trying to hide it a lot better, possibly come up and then, you know, cut the slit down the middle, fold this over, then roll this on top of it, and then cut it out, and then pull your extra off would be a way of doing it. But anyway, like I said, just, you know, kind of figuring out the best ways to do it as I go. I mean, I've watched videos and stuff like that, so it's not that I'm incompetent. It's just best ways to doing it. But this right here works, so I'm pretty happy. Next thing up on the list is fancy trim piece, and kind of the same thing as everything else. There's nothing real scientific to it, but I think because this is going to get more wear where you're leaning on it, where most of the rest of the pieces aren't going to get really touched. I mean, like I said, I don't think there's going to be anything really any different to it. I just got to make sure that I give myself enough material everywhere. Don't think this is going to be too big of a deal. Foreshadowing. I hope not. I hate wasting material like this, but these are some goofy angles and there's not much I can do about it. So it just kind of is what it is. So that went pretty good. It's all glued up there. I glued the back side of it. Now I just got to do a little bit better job trimming these edges and folding them over. And I'm just kind of, if you ever put on like vinyl stickers, I've kind of been putting it on the same way, just starting kind of at the bottom-ish corner and just kind of working my way up. That way it doesn't get any weird wrinkles in it. And then like this, I need to go through and like cut here. And these two will fold over each other. And then just kind of pull and squeegee down. And as of right now, it hasn't really wrinkled that I found. I'm not going to say there's not one in here I haven't seen. But as of right now, it seems to be doing pretty good. And I mean, I would always err on too much glue. I mean, obviously you're not trying to make it just pour out of the front. But if you get a little overspray on stuff, I'd say it's probably not the end of the world, because I'd rather stuff be a little too sticky than not be sticky enough. So now the top is done. Now all I gotta do is trim up the bottom. If you haven't watched the last video, this groove here is for some LED lights. So I don't really have to worry about getting material in there, other than I want it to wrap around the edge. So it shouldn't be too big of a problem here. I just want to kind of tuck it up on the inside bottom pretty well. Kind of roll it up just little bits at a time. I mean, I would say kind of be in a little bit of a hurry, but as of right now, it's been pretty good. Usually, like I said, I wait about a minute or so and then get after it. That way I have plenty of time. I think it said you had like 10 minutes to get the whole thing on, which seems like plenty of time to me, but I would say, I guess it depends on how elaborate your piece is that you're doing. And then just, I guess, put relief cuts wherever you think you need them. This material, it stretches a little bit, but I would say it doesn't really stretch at all. So kind of keep that in mind, that, you know, some hard corners and edges will work around. I mean, you saw it done the rings of the cup holders and stuff like that. So, I mean, it will move some, but it is just fabric. Alrighty, there's that edge. So now I need to do the back side. It just needs to fold basically straight up. Well, that's basically it. I mean, I obviously have some trimming to do, but those are my edges. I'd say that turned out pretty doggone good. Here we get a new razor blade end, and I can trim up these edges a little bit better, but boy, that looks good. Wow, that looks good. All right, yep, I'll get a new razor blade and trim this up, and that'll be done. Got the leather part now, just what, two side panels, the cup holders, the top trim ring, and that'll be the last of it. So we're getting down to the end, and this is really the first time I've kind of rolled this out. I looked at it to make sure it looked good, and it looks fantastic. So I guess I think I put some wood putty on those those side panels where I had the screws in from where I mocked it up the first time. So I got that drying, and so I guess I'll start with either the cup holder or the lid, and we'll go from there. So I guess I don't think any of these pieces are going to be too terribly hard. It's actually going very smooth, which I'm pretty thrilled about. So, you know, I don't know how it's all going to go. I just always prepare for the worst, and it seems like it's doing pretty good. Alright, I think I'm going to start with this. I need plenty to roll up on the edges and roll over, so I think we'll start there. Alright, so I'm thinking we'll just glue it up, roll the edges over. I think my biggest hurdle is going to be getting these sides to pull up pretty good. Kind of had that issue on all of it, of doing the best, getting it to pull up the best, but ain't nothing to it but to do it. So get all this laid out, start getting my first coats on it, and I've already emptied my first can, so hopefully I've got enough to finish all the other pieces. All right, try to center this up. All right, so I suppose I don't know. I'm not exactly sure the best way to start this. I don't know if I just start kind of at the edges and roll it over. Yeah, this leather is going to be hard too, just to work with. It's a lot. I feel like it's, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be less forgiving. I don't know. I'm going to do little bites at a time. All right. That'll dry while I'm piddling with this. I'm not real worried about it. It's drying pretty quick in the house. That's why I done it in here. It's too dirty and too cold in the shop to try to do all this, so it was easier just to throw some sawhorses up in the house. You can almost kind of feel if it's going to wrinkle or not. I don't know the best way to not wrinkle it yet, but because I'd be afraid if you warmed it, you might get it too warm and melt it or burn it. So I'm not sure if like pulling and stretching is going to be the move. If you can even pull and stretch it. Is that, ooh, that is working. Okay. Just keep doing that. How's that look? Ooh, look at those edges. All right, we are on the road to recovery. I'm just kind of pulling up. I just kind of worked the radius kind of all the way around. And now, just kind of pulling up on it. And if I need to, I've got a staple gun. If I need to staple the bottom edge of this to make sure it doesn't pull or move when I'm all said and done, that's what I'll do. But we're looking good so far. How's that edge look? Oh, that edge looks so good. Come on, don't jinx me now. Well, I'd say that's pretty doggone good. That's not too bad there. I can live with that. Alright, so is this gonna pull over like I'm hoping it will? Nah, I probably should. I know this is way too much material, but I'll just trim it off. But I wanted more to be able to pull on and get these edges tight. And like I said, I may come back, so I'm pulling kind of hard. I think this glue will hold it, but I'm pulling kind of hard, and I'd like to just make sure that this isn't ever going to move. I'm just trying to leave about a 1/2 inch or so on the edge, or 1/4 inch, that I'm not cutting. There's a little wrinkle right there, but I don't know. That's the front, so it's not going to be seen anyway. I mean, not that it's going to matter that much, but that's it. That is it. That's not bad. Cut off the fat. I'd say really, if I probably would have cut these a little bit in the smaller pieces, I probably could have got a little bit more of it out. And I might be able to pull and tug a little bit and get a little bit more of this out, but all in all, I think this is it. This one all done. Nothing too hard. I just cut it into a star. I cut it 8 times. Seems like it done pretty good. Didn't wrinkle up. And the cup holder should still just drop in it. I guess I should check that. It's a little late now, but these should have been a little big, so these should still fit. Oh yeah. Boy, that looks good. Look at that. All right, so now all I gotta do is this other one. Like I said, all I did, so it's kind of come in the middle. Cut, left about a 1/4 inch, or I say 1/4 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, somewhere in there. You can always cut more. You can't put it back together. It's not like metal where it cut too small and I just weld some more on it. No, once you cut this, it's too small. You're done. That's it. There's no more. So that's kind of what it looks like. Just little fingers. Now just push it up on the sides. Kind of pull it. And this stretches. That suede does not stretch. This is a little more forgiving, but you have to keep in mind if you pull too far, you'll pull the texture out of it. That's my biggest concern on the edges, was not that I couldn't get it without wrinkles or anything, but if I pulled too hard, I would pull the texture out of it and then it would look funky. Not that it would look worse. Neither way would look good. You know, if you wrinkle it real bad or you pull the, texture out of it, neither one of those look good. But there's just got to be a happy medium somewhere. You got to kind of. Anyway, that's how she looks. So I think the next thing I'll do, because that other stuff's still drying, I'll do that top trim piece. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. It's just like this on a bigger scale. Same little radiuses and stuff like that. I'll go through here, staple up the bottom of it, staple around all the edges. But that's it. That's how it looks. And I'm very excited the way that turned out. So, like I said, the back's a little rough, but I mean, I don't know if there's much. I would rather the back look a little cluttered and the outsides look good than the outsides look bad and the inside look great. So anyway, that's it. Down to the last 2 pieces. I think I've got enough glue. I think I got about a 1/2 can-ish of glue. And so I just got the 2 sides left. As far as I know, everything else is wrapped, including, no, I got 1 little piece, but it's not a big deal. I can always do it later. It's the bottom of the bottom of something. The bottom tray of the console. But I want to wait for it to be last in case I run out of glue. I can always assemble the console and then get some more glue later, tomorrow or something. Because I'm trying to get this. I'd like to get all this done today. I'd like to get it assembled. I have realized I got to messing with the lid and all that, the pieces that go together. It's going to be a chore finding all those holes again. I really didn't have a good way of marking all that out, so I'll kind of cross that bridge when I get there. I kind of fiddled with it for a little bit. One thing I will say, I come real close to being short on my material on that, which was just me misjudging, because it's hard. Like on this here, if you see those lines, I have to wrap past that. So I need to be, I need to make sure I have plenty of material to be able to cut. And that being said, I mean, at this point, the material's already bought. So if I cut too big and then, scrap more than what I was planning on, that's fine with me. I would rather, do that than come up, short and have a little brown line where the material or where the wood shows. So anyway, that's just me kind of rambling on how it's going. It's actually going pretty well. I like the material, so I don't have any complaints there. And the glue seems to be working real well. You do have a time limit to an extent, like on that lid. I fought with it. I think I quit recording after a little while just because I was getting somewhere, but it was just taking me a while to get there. And so I'm cutting big on this. I want as big as I can get. And really my board's not quite big enough. But anyway, so I'm gonna get this thing glued up and quit rambling, and I'm not really talking about anything important right now. So I'll just set up a time lapse and get it glued up, and hopefully this goes pretty good. Second one up on the table, got it sanded down pretty smooth, and here's the final product of this one. You can kind of see in the light. It's smooth, but it just looks kind of funky. It just needs to be stretched a little bit. But no, that was, I don't want to say it was awful. It went fairly good, but man, did it kicked my butt the whole way, the entire way. Some of that, if you see some of this, it's just dust from the table. But anyway, no, this side kicked my butt the whole way. It's so much getting these edges to roll over and getting all this to do right. And then I got to get that glue off of there and get those edges cleaned up a little bit. But I mean, I love the way it looks. Love the way it looks. But one thing I will say, probably, I don't know, I guess I got to do a little bit more homework, but doing where the console actually sits down inside of this, future me probably won't drop it down as deep, because it is super hard to get all of these compound curves to pull in right and be able to cover the inside. It's not a big deal to get it over the radius, but to get, I've got a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch gap on this back side that it has to drop down to. And it's real hard to get that material to stretch, 180 degrees the opposite direction and still be, the way it should. So anyway, I'm gonna get this side started. You can see it's already dark now, so, but anyway, it is what it is. So I'm gonna just keep rolling on. This is the last panel, main panel I can do. The other one I can knock out in no time. It's these big panels really take a lot of time. So just keep chipping away at it and should be done. All right, so one thing I want to show that I kind of talked about, again, take what I'm showing you with a grain of salt. I'm not professional, but I'm showing you what I'm doing, and I've seen other professionals do. So what I was talking about with overlapping, because I did not have enough material here for the console inside the actual cubby spot to put stuff. So what I've done is I've glued another piece here. I've just glued it like you've seen me do everything else. I glued it on top, and you can see where this ridge is where I've overlapped. So what I've done is I've already went through and scored it with a utility knife on top of the seamed part. So what I should be able to do now is take this side here. Every once in a while that end, either my razor blade's getting dull, which it kind of looks like it is, but you should be able to just go through. Ideally, it should be scored all the way through. Yeah, you should just be able to do this here. Pull this edge off. All right, so I rescored it. Now, like I said, you should just be able to pull this edge off. So now that you've done that, just get that out of the way. Now you can kind of pull your material back. Now I have to go through and score down the side here. Now I've scored down the side here, and I can pull this back, and then all this side over here gets covered up, so this doesn't particularly particularly, it doesn't matter, is what I'm saying. So, like I said, now what you got to do is fold back this edge here to reveal your cut line that you can now pull out from underneath. All right, so now, like I said, should just be able to pull that up like that. Then mate your two seams together. I kind of push them together, make sure the gaps are good and closed up, make sure the seams fit very well. And if you ever get to a point where it just doesn't look like it's going to stick, I've been taking some super glue and kind of touched up those areas. Actually, all this looks pretty good. It's much easier to do on a flat surface here that you can kind of cut together. But other than that, I think that'll work. And this glue does really good at adhering to itself. And so you have plenty of time to get this together. I mean, you can wait 10 minutes in between while you're kind of getting stuff. Like I said, this here that I've pulled up and kind of pulled the glue off, I can just go through and put some super glue if I want to, but that other panel goes right on here and bolts to this, so it doesn't matter, it'll be fine. And any overspray glue you get like this, what you can do is once all this is good and dry, just kind of roll your finger on it, and it all just kind of balls up and comes right off. Go with the cut, because if you go this way, you have the potential to roll up the lip of it and accidentally pull the glue off. I've only done that once, but that's kind of when I learned to do this. And then you can just, because I was afraid I was gonna have to use like some lacquer thinner or something like that to get the excess glue off. Like I said, once it's all dry, you can just rub your finger over and just kind of erase it. And that's it. Like I said, so anyway, pretty simple. Like I said, the seam is still, you can still see it, you know, right down the middle here, but it's not too terribly bad. I mean, the harder the light is on it, I definitely wouldn't do it on like a side of a panel. Like if you had to seam it down the middle here, I would say just pull it off and redo it. But if it's like an inconspicuous, like the console's here, it's got a lid on it 95% of the time, so this isn't going to be that big of a deal. And like I said, you can see, you can see the little patches I've had to put in there and there. Not a big deal, same thing, but like I said, most all that's going to get covered up, so I don't have to particularly worry about it too much. So anyway, that's kind of how I've patched them together. If anybody's got any better ideas, please let me know in the comments. But like I said, that's the way I've been doing it. Looks pretty good so far. And if you've got any weird edges that look like they may come up, I've stapled them down on top of everything else. That way I don't ever have to worry about it again. But that's how it's been going. So just some little tips. So let's see if I can get these to stand up beside each other. Maybe. Try not to knock them all over. Oh, come on now. This is why I pre-drilled all these holes. That way I can at least line everything up and then square it all up from there. So if I didn't, I'd never get this thing together. The only other thing I have seen is it's difficult to see your holes after you cover them all up with material, so keep that in mind. But that's looking pretty good. How's it look from the sides? Ooh, Ooh, that turned out good. That turned out good. Not that I'm surprised or anything, but you never know. You never know. These angle brackets, pretty good stuff, and the screws aren't too bad. I didn't know if I'd like the screws or not because it needs to be fairly structural, but I don't know, we'll find out once I get it all together. If I need to put some actual 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch wood screws in it, I will, but I mean, these are made for like shelving and stuff, so I figured they'd be all right. Oh, yeah, that'll be fine. I mean, I've only got 2 brackets halfway put on there, and it's a lot more solid than what I was originally thinking. That MDF board, you have to be careful, because it'll strip out in a hurry. MDF board sucks for structure stuff. It's great for shape. I'm sure I've already said it before. It's great for shaping, but unless you would glue it together, it's not gonna stay together. Alrighty, that's the last one, and seems pretty solid to me, so I think that ought to work. So let's see, cup holders should go in like that. That looks like that fits. Oops. I think I might have missed my hole. I did. Not a big deal. I can pull that out and redo that, but that looks awfully good. Now I'm down to the last little pieces. Now I've got basically the box all put together. I'm gonna put some LED strips in the bottom of this. This is the bottom trim panel or the side trim panel that goes on the side of the box. And so I went and bought the best LEDs that Amazon sells. And we're gonna see how they look. I've never cut and done this. It doesn't look hard, but basically I bought these little clip connectors, and supposedly you're just supposed to be able to cut it on the little copper or bright, whatever they use, the little copper terminals there. And you can stick it on there with probably not 3M brand tape, but we'll see. So supposedly you're just supposed to be able to do it with scissors. And yep, do that, and
take any of this off? I would think so. I don't know, maybe you do. Maybe you just, I don't remember this part of the video. Because I wouldn't think that those would. Yeah, so I need to figure out how to strip this off without messing it up. So, oh yeah. Yeah, that looks a lot better. I think that'll work. And then I might actually go through and do the same thing at the top. And I may have gotten the wrong clips. I don't know. Some of the videos I saw, they were just like bare, like interior wiring, like for a house. But I don't know. I just assumed it was all kind of the same. But I have been wrong before. Oh yeah, I think that'll work. And as long as I put it on the right direction, like this, I think it just doesn't want to clip. Oh, there it goes. Now is that on there? Yeah, seems like it. Kind of crooked, but anyway. So I think that'll work. And then I'm just gonna poke them out at the bottom. So I should just be able to do something like this. Run all the way up, all the way back. So that's gonna be at the bottom. That's gonna tuck into that corner. And so I guess I've got to cut. I'll lose a couple LEDs, but I think that's gonna be okay. And I'll have to cut it right here, which I want to cut it that way I can use the other side. So we'll just snip it off there. I guess I should test this to see if this works. Alright, let's see. I still know what I'm doing. Or if these are even any good. Ooh. Look at that. And they all light up. Alright, well, let's glue them on, or stick them on, or whatever. I want it to go this way. And I want to start here. Let's just double check, make sure all my, yep, all that looks good. So, I guess, hope this stuff works. If it don't, then I'll either have to go get some 3M tape and put on top of this tape, or I'll, I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We just hope we don't have to cross that bridge. So, kind of get more comfortable. My only concern with it is when the truck gets real hot in the summertime, when it's all closed up, is if this glue ever comes undone and starts to sag. But I mean, I guess if it does in little sections, I can always put a couple drops of super glue or something on it, glue it back up. But I think it'll work just fine. Like I said, if you didn't watch the first video of this, you'll see where I cut these grooves out for these, or routed these out with just a hand router. I mean, there's nothing, no fancy tools really going on this. This is something that anybody can do. And like I said, I'm not talking as I am a professional, because you've watched a lot of firsts for me here. Doing suede, doing leather, doing a lot of this like I'm doing. This is a lot of first time around. So there are more professionals out there that do this for a living. But if you're the new guy, or you're just doing it on, you know, your hot rod or whatever you want to call it, not too bad. That looks pretty stuck up on there, so I think that'll work.
I'm down to the last pieces of the puzzle, and I've got the speakers left to put in and the back panel to put in. I'm gonna try, because I can't get to it to put brackets on, I'm gonna try to use those magnets. So I've kind of marked the sides here on the edges, and I'm just gonna take some of these magnets from Harbor Freight and try to set in. So I'll see how that goes. My goal is just to super glue them in. Actually, all this stuff is pretty stout and really doesn't move. This suede kind of sticks together, so I don't know, we'll see. If it seems like it's gonna slide around more than what I think, then I'll do something different, but I'm hoping that I can get away with this. Everything else seems to kind of stay pretty well, so maybe this will work, but I don't know. It'll give me an idea for later if it doesn't work. It's not a huge deal. I just gotta kind of get up in there and try to fix it. But anyway, so that's kind of the last plan. And like I said, I gotta get the speakers in. The only thing that sucks is I'm probably gonna go ahead and put them in. I'm gonna start doing the wiring in the back. I got all this to kind of get wired and done for the switches and everything, or the buttons and switches and all that. So I'm gonna get some of that wiring done. That way I don't have to do it in the truck. But the speakers, I got to get, what I was getting at is I got to get screws for those, some prettier screws, because I don't have anything that'll bite into this wood good enough, and they didn't send any screws with it or whatever. So anyway, but like I said, I'm going to try to glue this in and hopefully they work. All right, got everything drilled and got the magnets glued in, and they're set in. I just used some super glue. Oops. And I drilled them. What size did I drill them to? 5/16? Yeah, I drilled 5/16 holes. And like I said, I super glued them in. And I took my plastic hammer and just beat them in there real good. And they've dried for a little bit. So we'll see. Because this thing here just kind of that gonna work. Feels like it will. Let's see, can I? Well, I mean, it seems like it's got some tension to it. So, like I said, we'll give it a shot. If it doesn't work, not a huge deal. I can. Well, I mean, I guess it will be a huge deal if it doesn't work, because then I'm going to have to pull it out of the truck. Have to pull the seat out. And it's already starting to slide. Because I'm afraid, you know, you get something in it and push it, and it just keeps kind of sliding forward. And it doesn't quite fit anymore. Well, this may not be the answer. I mean, I've seen other people do it, but I mean, for what I'm doing, I mean, I'm not going to be here every time the truck goes out, so I won't be like, hey, you know, just kind of scoot it around. It seems silly. That seems kind of counterintuitive. So I may just have to take this off, take the whole console off and put it on the floor on its side and drill my brackets in it. So it is what it is. I think that's probably going to be the best bet. I don't think these magnets are going to hold it well enough. It just doesn't seem like there's enough there. I mean, I could probably give it a shot and put 2 more in it, but just not really what I was hoping for. Shoot. Alright, well, I'll just kind of go back to the drawing board and I'll see what else I can do. Well, I think that's about as good as it's going to get. Got everything all pretty well dialed in. Still got to do a little more cleaning and vacuuming some of the sawdust off, but I'll blow it all off once I get it in the truck. But I am super excited with the way it turned out. It's all pretty buttoned up. Everything's all done up in there. I put another magnet on the top, and it seems to do a lot better. It doesn't really move now. Got all the buttons in. Got the interior lights, which is going to be, interior lights is going to be like the LED strips here. We'll have some footwell lights, cup holders mounted, cup holders are in it, the rings mounted. Got the exhaust, open, closed, momentary switches. All the buttons are Billet Automotive buttons, I think is the brand. It's out of Australia. Super high quality buttons. Real good about getting here. Like I said, still got to get bolts for those, so kind of ignore that. But want to put it all together. Got a little bit of vacuuming done on it, but I think the fit and finish is flawless. I mean, it's good. It's real good. I mean, all the trim pieces look real good. I mean, it's pretty good and straight down through there. Like I said, all that tucked up real nice, all the way around the edges, the top, the console. I mean, it's good. I like it. So I guess next thing is, like I said, I kind of got the wiring in it, but I'm not going to wire it up until I get to the truck. But I think that's kind of what I'm contemplating now. I think I've gone as far as I can go with the box here, so I guess I'm gonna load it up in the bed of the Lightning and drag it over to where the C10 sits at Mom and Dad's house. So I think that's gonna be my plan right now, is figure out how big and heavy this thing's gonna be to move around, because really you can, this panel comes out, this panel comes out, so this one's actually not mounted at all. It's held in by this panel and then kind of lipped under this panel. This panel comes off. I'm not going to take it off. This panel's also stuck here, but this trim piece comes off, and then you can pull this radio straight out. The other thing is you can always pop the speaker out, get in there, do your wiring on the inside here through your speaker hole, and then drop everything in. So it's pretty, I would like to say it's pretty accessible. That's why that was my biggest fear of actually hard mounting that panel, is you can't get back in behind here once it's in the truck. You'd have to pull the seat out to get to it. So I wanted all this to be removable if it ever had something ever happened. Radio, plays out, speakers play out, something like that. You've got to replace it. And this piece here is just that piece of 1/8 inch wood that can always be swapped out. If I can always re-drill for another button. The radio, I'll try to put the same radio back in it or close to it, but it's a fairly standard size double din. It's just a power acoustic. Pretty good stuff. That's what I put in the Ranchero, but I like it. It looks good. I'm super happy with how it all turned out. So like I said, I think my plan is now to pick this big beast up and take it over to the C10. All right. Put my strong arms on, figure out how heavy this thing is. Oh my goodness, is it stuck? Okay. All right. It's heavy, but it's not, oh, it's heavy. Oh man. Oh, I could have taken some of the panels out, but it's too late now. I mean, it's not that it's just like 400 pounds. It's awkward to pick up, because you've got to have an arm on both sides. Now I've got to play the finesse game of uh-oh. Alright, you're back up. I designed this box to take apart, that way it'd be easier to get in and out of here. And I proceeded to put the whole thing in here all together. Oh, seatbelt. Alright.
I'm not pinching any wires. That's it. There she sits. Boy, it looks good in here. Cool. Well, that's all fit and finish. I'd say that's pretty good. Which I can't get it under there, but it's not actually touching the, there you go, you can see it. It's not actually touching the dash. And this console doesn't move. I've actually notched for this here so it sits down tight. So it's pretty solid in here. I am probably gonna put a strap on the lid into this, that way it doesn't flip up and hit the back glass. But other than that, that looks pretty good. So I guess now it's to disassemble all of this and start figuring out my wiring. I've got all my wires run, and all that'll get wire loom, so that's not that big of a deal. But I guess it's time to blow it apart and get to wiring. Alright, so I've got the speakers hooked up, and now I've got to hook up my cutouts, and I've got the wiring here. If you were to buy like a QuickTime Performance cutout, it comes with like a rocker switch, but I don't think they look that appealing. I mean, they work fine, but they don't look as good as I'd like them to, so I've taken it off. But I've taken it off like 7 years ago, and so I've got to get my wiring correct. So in theory, it should be positive and negative, you know, 12 volts going to the red side to either open or close it, and then 12 volts going to the negative side to open or close it, and it should be vice versa. You should have 12 volts on positive to open it, per se. So, is it closed? It's closed. Hopefully you can see that. So, I'm gonna use the power probe. Oh, no. Alright, so let's flip it. That was 12 volts to the positive side, so that's gonna be to close it. So this will be 12 volts to the negative side. There it is. So, just double check, make sure everything works right. 12 volts to the positive side, should close it. There it goes. Alright, that won't be that big a deal. So, that's how that works. Alright, I think this is going to be the first full test run. It's grounded. I still got to tie the wires up in the back. And I'm missing my other exhaust cutout wire. Didn't show up. It'll be here in a couple days, but this is going to be the test run to make sure everything works. Then I can button it up and finish it all when the rest of my wires get here. But I just want to make sure everything works, and we'll call it good. So let me hook the battery up. Alright, battery's hooked up. Turn the key on. Ooh, I'm missing some fuses. Let me grab a couple fuses. So now we can turn the key on. All the lights are lit up. The side lights work? No. No, they don't. Okay, so the radio works. That's only a quarter of it, but my interior lights don't work. Okay. So what are those? Is it a poor ground? It might be a bad ground. I don't know. I figured that ground was probably decent. Well, it gives you an idea on what it looks like. I don't know. So the ground is good, because all that's grounded together. These still don't work. Oh, no way. No way. That's not grounded. That's why it doesn't work. Okay. Alright. Crap. Now I gotta pull all this back apart. Let's hook all this back up. The amount of me that wishes that stuff like this was a joke and I was doing it for, you know, views or the camera or something like that. I wish that was the case. The bad thing is I do crap like this a lot. You just get to doing stuff and I forget and miss it, and here I am. So I don't need any fake drama, in quotes. The drama is myself. Alright, before I jam all this crap back in here, let's just see if this thing works. Okay, lights turn on. One side works. Fantastic. What's wrong with this side? Is it a wiring issue? Which side did I test? That side? Boy, I'm gonna be mad if there's something wrong with this side. I'm gonna take it back off. Why? Why doesn't it work? It's gotta be in this plug. Alright, let me take this back apart. Alright, let's see if I can fix this. This is quite ridiculous. I just hope this solder actually adheres to this wire.
The wire hot.
Alright, I think that'll do it. I think, I don't know. At this point, I'm not sure about any of it. I'm just hoping this wire doesn't break off or something weird. Alright, call that good enough. Let it cool down and
Just do that on the floor.
yep, we'll check it out tomorrow.
Well, I basically got it all dialed in. Kind of an ordeal on getting everything finished up, but kind of what happened is this this light over here didn't want to work, and the reason was the last two terminals, I think it's around here somewhere. I don't know, but anyway, the last little end on the LED strip just didn't work. The positive and negative, the little gold piece that I clipped the end on, just didn't work. So I cut it up a little higher, and it all works now. The speaker back here, which got the nice trim piece that Dad got all painted up, but that speaker didn't work. Well, that was because when they made the ends, they were pre-terminaled ends, and there wasn't any wire, actual physical metal wire in the wire. It was just the sleeve crimped on it, so there was no connection there. So we took all that apart. I got that soldered back on, and now I've got it all put together. So I'll kick the key on. Got all that wired up, and give you a little sneak peek on what that looks like. And I think it turned out fantastic. And this radio here, which I've unplugged and plugged in the battery a couple times, so it keeps going to the default setting, but this got Apple CarPlay, and so it's got maps and everything else. There's exhaust cutouts that I think you can hear. Yeah. And I've got all that wired up. Billet Automotive buttons, I'll leave a link in the description on them. They're super fantastic products. They give you how to wire everything for like window motors and you know, a two-way switch just with 2 relays. As long as you wire it up the way they show it, works flawless. But I think this thing turned out awesome. I've got a mess down here, but I just wanted to get everything all lit up and kind of show it off. And there's not really any hot spots in that I was kind of concerned about. It looks kind of weird on the camera, but in person there's no hot spots in it. So I think it turned out fantastic, and it looks good up here with the metallic paint and the suede. But I mean, this up here, it looks good. I'm super thrilled with the way it turned out. Got all this all buttoned up. That's it. That's how it's gonna sit. So we've kind of knocked out a lot of the big stuff. Now now we can get the seat in, get seat belts all buttoned up, you know, get a lot of this stuff done. We're waiting on some AC parts to get the gauge cluster in, but we are rolling full steam ahead now. So I'll get some B-roll footage of it, but I think that's gonna be the end of this video. Like I said, I appreciate everybody hanging out and watching another one, and we're just gonna keep on trucking along.